Hello, in this video we will talk about user-defined functions basics. So we're going to take a look at some functions that how can we create our own functions, not only using the other functions that are built in or they are defined in different modules. Let's take a look over here what type of functions that we have. So far we have built-in functions that are built in Python and they come with Python, such as print or input. These functions we don't have to do anything besides knowing how to use them, and these functions are already implemented. The second type of functions are the defined in a separate module. Remember the math module we looked at before? There's a lot of methods and functions defined in that module. The only thing that we need to do is to import this module and then use these functions inside our program. The third, and this is the focus of this lecture and this module as well, is defined in the same file, or these are what they call them, the user-defined functions. When it comes to user-defined functions, they have two parts. The first part is defining the function, which we're going to talk about it later, and the second part is calling the function. And when it comes to calling the function, there's two different ways to call a function. You can call the function by creating a variable, and then you assign the result of this variable to whatever this function is going to return. Okay, and this is in the function that have a return statement. Okay, the other way, we can call them directly and in our program without having a variable, without assigning them to any variable, because these type of functions that we will define, they have no return. So they usually print some values or they do some type of calculations, but they do not return to the main program or the main part when you call them. Okay, so this is the second part, which is calling the function. Let's go back again to the first part, is defining the function. As you guys can see from this video, I have a kind of a template about what is in the function, and then in the second part over here I have an example of defining a function. Again, remember, the main purpose of defining functions is to break down your program into smaller chunks of code so you can focus and pay attention to this part only. And usually a function has only one purpose. So if your program has, let's say, 5 or 6 different tasks the program is going to do, you want to break down these tasks into 5 or 6 different functions. So you focus only one function and you make sure this function runs correctly. Okay, so how can I do that? When it comes to define a function, there is kind of like a template that we have to follow. The first thing is define. Okay, the word. If you want to define a function, this is a function defining the function that has it takes two numbers and return the result of adding these two numbers. Okay, so how can I make this function? First, I have to use the word define, or def. It's short for define, and this is a Python word. Okay, and then follows by the function name. What is the name of the function? You can name it whatever you want, but you want to name it something meaningful. Okay, so obviously this function is going to add two numbers. I'm going to call it add, and then it comes followed by parentheses. In the parentheses, if we have parameters, we will insert them there. If we do not have parameters, we still need to have the parentheses. Okay, so in this example, this function is gonna take two numbers, which is number 1 and number 2, or n1, n2, whatever you want to name them. Okay, because these are going to be part of my calculations. And then after that, the colon. Okay, so this line over here, we call it the header of the function. This is the header of the function. After that, I will go to the body of the function, which also going to be indented. Okay, be careful, it has to be indented. Okay, so what is going to happen in this body? It's going to be exactly my code, what I want to do. So in this example over here, I created a variable. I called it temp. You can name it result, you can name it whatever you want. And then I said it's equal to n1 plus n2. What is n1? n1 was the one that is passed in the header when the user called the function. n2 is the same thing. It's one of the parameters that I got one of the arguments that I have. Okay, and then I calculate the addition of these two numbers, store it in the temp, and then say return the temp. We're going to talk about the return statement later on, okay? But this is one example of functions. Remember, we have the header and we have the body of the function. The header starts with the define or def, the name of the function, parentheses, and then as many parameters as you want or as you have, or you can have none, and then colon. This is a template basically, okay? And then here you have the body of the function. All right, so the return value, again, if this function is going to return, if this function does not return, you might have some inside print or something like that. Okay, here is the example over here based on what I showed you guys before. So this is my function. Okay, so I created in my program. This is it. You have to create the function first in your program. Okay, so this is the function part. Okay, or if you have more than one function, it has to be at the beginning. Okay, so I have only one function, and here is in this area, this is my main program. Okay, this is my main program. All right, so let's assume that I defined the function over here just as I explained it earlier, and then I have two variables, a and b. A equal to 3, b equal to 4, and then I said, okay, create another variable and call it sum, and make sum equal to add a and b. What is add? Add is a function that I defined. That's why we have to have it earlier. I cannot call the function add if I do not have it already defined before the time I call it. Okay, and now what it's going to have, add is going to have two parameters, a and b. Why? Because when I defined it, it takes two parameters, n1 and n2. Okay, someone may say, and this is like a very typical question, okay, well, the function, it says over here, defined it, when you defined it between parentheses, you said n1 and n2. Why over here when I called it with the a and b? Okay, well, a and b, they're going to be mapped to n1 and n2. So no matter what you name these two variables that you have inside the parentheses, the first one is going to be treated as n1 and is going to be treated in the function as n1. The second value is going to be treated as n2 and is going to be also treated in the function as an n2. Okay, so think about it this way. It's just basically saying sum equal what I said equal because I have a return. Okay, so I'm going to say equal to a b. So over here is going to go over here. A is going to be n1, b is going to be n2. So it's going to say temp equal to a, which is 3, plus b, which is 4. The result is going to be 7. It's going to be stored here. And over here is going to return 7. When I return 7, the program is going to go back again here to where it started from, here, when I called it. This is equal to 7, which is going to be assigned to the sum. Okay? And the program is going to continue to the print statement by saying print sum of a, or 3 and 4 is 7. Okay? It's very important to understand that. Again, I'm going to repeat it. The most important part over here is the n1, n2. They don't have to be the same over here, a and b. You're going to map, these values going to be mapped. Python is going to take care of that. Okay? All right. So this is what I explained over here. Here's another example. It's called greet. So you create a function. This one does not have a return. This one has a print. So the function calls greet, and then it has only one parameter, and then you're going to print hello, whatever name over here you have. You add it here, and then you say good morning. Okay? So, and then in the main part, this is the main part, you want to say name, and you want to ask the user for the name, and then you're going to call the function greet. When you call the function greet, you see I did not assign to it any variable. I did not do it like I did over here when I said sum equal, because add has a return statement. Greet has no return statement, has print. Okay? And it's going to print hello, Max, for example, good morning. Okay? Here's a very important part over here, and I want you to pay attention. This is the function part, over here, defined, and it's clear as we saw before. Here is the main part, okay? But take a look at this main part. I made it indented, and I had a line over here. It says if underscore underscore name underscore underscore equal to underscore underscore main underscore underscore, execute the main. Okay, this is very important line. I inserted a video in the module that explained to you why do we need this line. In all the Zybook programming assignment, you always have to have this line right now, from now on. Okay, when you have functions, if you have a function, you want to have the main part to start with the if name equal main. Okay, so I'm going to step over here and make sure that you watch the video about the if name equal main.